Hello everybody, this is Lino Tadros again, and in this video we're going to move to something a little bit more interesting. Instead of just working with one agent, what happens if we have multiple agents that needs to be created and they maybe need to communicate with each other autonomously, and see how actually Semantic Kernel can help us with that. So let's go ahead and go for it. So I thought it would be a good idea. Next week, actually, in San Diego, California, here in the United States, we have a Visual Studio conference happening in there between September 8th and 12th, and I'm speaking there. And I thought maybe one of my talks, which is going to be about Semantic Kernel, is to actually use the hotel where we're staying, and that's called the Bahia Resort Hotel, beautiful hotel in San Diego. And it has restaurants, it has cruises, it has spas, it has, of course, the hotel itself. It has so many different things. So I'm thinking maybe about creating multiple agents so that when a guest asks a question, instead of actually having just tools for one agent, having multiple agents completely separate from each one. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so like we always do, we're going to create a brand new project, Control-Shift-P. Let's say create a new project. And this one will also be a console app. And we'll give it a name. What number are we at? 12. All right. So this will be Bahia Resort. All right. Maybe I should call it something that makes sense for people on the GitHub. So we'll say multi-agent. How about that? Multi-agents would be a lot more interesting. All right. Let's go for it. Create the folder, add it to the solution, and it's right there. I'm going to continue to use OpenAI. Again, you can change it to whatever you want, and you should test with multiple LLMs and see which one actually works best for you. So I'm going to steal from the previous project. Remember, we had the app settings in here. So I'm going to copy this file. Let's copy it, and I'm going to be pasting it into multi-agent, so we don't have to worry about the API key or anything like that. All right, so we have what we need in there. And also in the project itself, let me go ahead and also get the NuGet packages. I'm going to steal them from here, from the previous project. I know that I'm going to be using agents. So Semantic Kernel, Semantic Kernel agents.core, and agents.openai. These are the ones that I'm interested in. All the other ones, I actually don't even need the HTTP one. I can remove that if I want to. But the configuration and the configuration JSON, that would be important so we can read from the app settings.json. All right, great. Let me go back in here in the new project, and I'm going to be pasting these NuGet packages. As soon as I say Control S, they will be imported, and then we are ready to go. Now let's go back here to program.cs and get some code and explain it line by line so you have a good understanding of what's going on. So let me go ahead and remove all of that stuff from here, and let me explain how we're going to do this wonderful job. All right. Again, the configuration builder will get us all the information from the app settings, so we know the API key and everything else. I only need the model ID. In my case, it will be GPT 4.1. You can use any model, like I said, and the API key is in there. And notice I'm only bringing in one service, which is the add OpenAI chat completion, passing it the model ID and the API key, like we've done. I want you to notice what's happening in here. For instance, the concierge in the Bahia Resort, I'm telling it here, this is going to be my prompt. I'm just setting it here as a string to get it out of the way. So I'm saying you're an Informants hotel concierge. Your role is to gather and understand user requirements and reply to guests with professionalism regarding the hotel and room. And remember that the Wi-Fi password is, and I just invented a password for right now. Of course, this is something that I just wanted to test here in a very simple example, but I want you to think about an agent that will actually have access to hundreds of different documents that will be ragged into that agent just by itself. So the Wi-Fi will not be in the prompt. Probably the Wi-Fi password changes maybe every week or every month. So there will be a PDF, or maybe the manager puts it inside of the database or puts it in a PDF document or whatever. So I need to use definitely RAG mechanism using whatever vector store I want, but you can imagine what this is all about. So this is going to be the first prompt for my first agent. They also have a wonderful restaurant there called Dockside 1953, very good steak over there. So you are the manager of the Dockerside 1953 restaurant at the Bahia of the Resort in San Diego. Your task is to answer questions about the restaurant and recommend it to the hotel guests. The final one is the Bahia cruises. So this one can coordinate and book cruises for you, night cruises, dinner cruises, and stuff like that. And then the important part is, remember in the previous one, previous example, we did the chat completion agent. I'm actually going to create 3 of them. So the first one is for the concierge agent. And again, remember it has the name, instructions, kernel. So I'm going to tell it the instruction, get it from that string. So that string all the way to the top, and therefore the concierge will be passed to the instructions. I'll give it a name, and I will include the kernel that I just built at the top to be included as well. I'm going to do the same thing for the restaurant agent for that specific restaurant, adding the instructions that I gave the prompt at the top. And finally, I'll do the cruise. Of course, you can have more. I mean, maybe I have one for the spa. I have one for, you name it. There is so many different things going on in the hotel, which is great at the resort. Now, the only difference is that I'm going to use a brand new object, which is the AgentGroupChat. So the AgentGroupChat, that will allow you to create an instance that contains all the different agents that will play in that game. Alrighty. So the buyer concierge agent, the restaurant, and the cruise agent, all of them will be added to the group chat in here. You will notice also this is not the only way you can actually do this. There is multiple, there are definitely multiple ways to do this. So you can actually do this sequentially. You can do it as concurrent, handoff, chat group, Magentic, and workflow process. I'm not going to give you a headache about all these 6 different patterns that you can use, but think about it. I'm going to have videos on each and every single one of them, but think of it. Do you want always to the first one that's being added, like the concierge, to always receive the question, and then sequentially send it from the concierge, then it will go to the restaurant, then it will go to the cruises, and do you want them to come back and actually ask for the previous agent for whatever reason? So if you wanted to do that, you can use something called the agent chat group. That means even though we're starting with the concierge, they can actually go into a loop. They can keep asking each other. So maybe the cruise needs to know about something from the concierge, maybe from the database that is being dragged into the concierge. It needs to find out, when are you leaving? Maybe if I'm staying from Monday to Wednesday, and I don't want to actually give you a recommendation for Thursday for taking a cruise because you're leaving on Wednesday. So all of these things, they can talk to each other. If you are speaking in a conference on Tuesday night, maybe the restaurant needs to know from the concierge that you're not going to be available on Tuesday night. So guess it needs to predict or give you a different date to go for dinner inside of that restaurant. So this can actually go into a loop, and they can keep going like this. So sequential, which is not this one, okay? The sequential means this will go to the next one, go to the next one, and we're done. Group chat, that means they can all participate in the discussion until it reaches what they want, all right? Concurrent, there is another one called concurrent, and we will do that in another video, which all of them are working at the same time, okay? So it's not a sequential, they're all in parallel. It means the request will go to all of them, and now they can actually work together. And then there is a very important one called the handoff. And the handoff, whoever actually gets to a point where the termination is declared, it can actually hand over or hand off the response or the final response from that specific agent to another one to run with it. So handoff can be used heavily as well. Now there is one called Magentic. This one is a little bit more involved because they can go back and forth between each and every single one of them in parallel. So it can actually keep going. If you have like 6 or 7 different agents, that can take a lot of tokens because they can go back and forth. So that's why you will notice there is something called a termination strategy, because I'm not made out of money, you know, so I don't want these guys to keep talking to each other because they are not convinced. They go 100 times back and forth, and guess who's paying the bill? I am paying for all these tokens. So sometimes you just want to stop it, saying, hey, I'm going to let you fight between all of you for 6 times, but if you don't reach anything by 6 times, I stop it, all right? Just let me know I couldn't get to an answer, or I couldn't get an answer, and let's get it over with. If you don't pass this and keep it forever, there is a possibility this will actually be an infinite loop, because you asked a question that none of the agent feel like comfortable that this is a final answer. So that's why there is possibility. Another thing for the terminology or the termination strategy, you can look for a specific answer that is coming back from one of these agents. And when you see it, you say, okay, once I see that word like done or approved or something like that, once you see that in the response of one of them, we can actually stop. All right, so even if it's before the maximum iteration as well, if I see this coming back, okay, I'm in pretty good shape, I can go home now. Alrighty. So my question for the bot at this point, I'm gonna say I'm in my room, but need the Wi-Fi password. Also, can you recommend a good place for dinner tonight? Alrighty. So the main idea here is that I'm gonna go ahead and create the add chat message, add the user prompt in here. And then we will do the invoke async, but the invoke async is happening on the entire group chat, okay? So for group chat, based on the way I declare them in the new in here, it will always take the concierge agent will start, all right? And then they can go between all of them, but somebody has to start the conversation. And it's all based on which one you declared in that declaration of the group chat as well. So concierge will always get the first question at this point. The other thing that you might see, I'm creating my own approval termination strategy to tell it whenever you see the word done coming back from the result, for instance, that means, and this will take some experimentation. You have to experiment with the agent to see what kind of responses come back so that you can actually have a pretty good approval termination strategy. The 6 in here, this is my backup plan. So if it never says the word done, I don't want you to keep forever. So I'm going to say, no matter what happens, do not iterate between the 3 of you for more than 6 times. And if you still don't have a final answer, thank you very much. Let's save my money. Alrighty. So hopefully that makes sense how this works. It will make a lot more sense also when we start creating different patterns like the sequential, the concurrent, the magenting, the handoff, and the workflow. This one is just the group chat, which they can go between all the 3 different agents until it finds the answer for that. Make sense? All right, let's go ahead and save this file. And we'll come in here, we'll say CD, which number are we at? 12. So we'll CD into that. And I'm gonna say .NET run. And we'll let it rip. All right, and I don't have to enter a prompt because I'm already putting the prompt in here. I'm in my room, but need the Wi-Fi password. Also, can you recommend a group, blah, 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 blah. I'm in my room, there you go. So now the agents are working, all righty? So notice here it says the assistant and it shows which agent. Of course, the complementary Wi-Fi password is whatever password I gave it, which is correct. For dinner, I highly recommend our on-site, blah, 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 dockside 1953. And it explains all the stuff in here. So it did a pretty good job. So I hard-coded everything in the prompt, but I just really want you to use your imagination. Remember, we had the RAG project earlier in this series, and you can actually use an agent that will bring in what we did before. Like we can go to Azure AI Search or Pinecone or SQL Server or Cosmos DB or whatever, and have a vector store there that has a significant amount of data being vectorized, and it will find the answer. So for instance, if I come in this week or next week when I'll be in San Diego and I want to find out like, hey, what is the happy hour in Dockside 1953 restaurant, for instance, hopefully the manager of that restaurant every week, let's say on Sunday night, uploads a PDF that has the happy hour and how much it is and from what time to what time, and it changes every week. So if we actually RAG this information, and then our agent can get this information and ask and embed the question against the vectorized data, I can find out exactly when I'll be there next week, what will be the happy hour, whether I should go or not, and all of these things. So you can see this can be extremely useful. Hopefully this was useful to you. If so, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to the next video. Thank you.